The quantum resonance chamber hummed with an otherworldly silence, its crystalline walls pulsing with soft blue light that seemed to breathe with an almost living rhythm. Dr. Ember Reyes leaned forward, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display that danced before her, a complex web of mathematical equations and spectral patterns that defied conventional understanding. 37 days. 37 days of continuous monitoring, and the anomaly continued to challenge everything she knew about quantum communication. The research station, Horizon 9, hung suspended in the inky blackness of deep space, orbiting a region of space that seemed to whisper secrets just beyond the edge of human comprehension. "Computer," Ember spoke softly, her voice cutting through the ambient hum of sophisticated equipment. "Run quantum harmonic analysis, frequency band delta 79. Cross-reference with previous nonlinear interference patterns." The holographic display shifted, mathematical symbols cascading like liquid mercury. Something was different this time. A pattern emerged, subtle, almost imperceptible, but definitely there. Dr. Reyes had never been one to accept the impossible. Her reputation in the Interstellar Research Consortium was built on pushing boundaries, on finding signals where others saw only noise. Her team had laughed when she first proposed the Quantum Communication Research Project. Deep space communication was supposed to be about powerful transmitters and complex relay systems. But Ember believed there was something more, a fundamental language of the universe that humanity had yet to understand. A soft chime interrupted her concentration. Dr. Helena Rodriguez, her research partner, entered the chamber. "Another caffeine run," she said, placing a steaming mug beside Ember's workstation. "You've been here for 17 hours straight." Ember didn't look up. "Something's happening, Helena. These interference patterns, they're not random. They're structured, almost like a conversation." Helena rolled her eyes. "We've been through this before. Space is full of electromagnetic noise. Just because we can't immediately explain something doesn't mean." The holographic display suddenly erupted with a cascade of quantum signatures. Mathematical patterns that seemed to dance and weave, forming complex geometries that defied traditional computational models. "Helena," Ember whispered, her hand hovering above the display. "Are you seeing this?" The quantum resonance chamber fell silent. The blue light pulsed faster, almost like a heartbeat. Something was trying to communicate. The station's standard communication protocols meant nothing here. Whatever was generating these signals existed beyond traditional understanding. A language of mathematics, of quantum entanglement, of pure information. Dr. Reyes had dedicated her entire career to understanding the impossible. And now, suspended in the vast emptiness of space, she was on the precipice of something extraordinary. "Computer," she commanded, her voice steady despite the excitement building within her. "Initiate full-spectrum quantum decryption protocol. Maximum sensitivity. We're going to understand what you're trying to tell us." The holographic display continued its mesmerizing dance, quantum signatures weaving a message that humanity had never before encountered. A communication that existed between the fundamental fabric of reality itself. First contact wouldn't come from a massive starship or a diplomatic mission. It would come from understanding, from listening to the universe's most fundamental language. And Dr. Ember Reyes was ready to listen. The starborn command vessel Horizon's Edge cut through the cosmic darkness, its sleek silver hull gleaming under the distant starlight. Captain Zara Novak stood at the bridge, her cybernetic neural interface flickering with incoming data streams from Dr. Reyes' research station. "Status report," she called out, her voice crisp and commanding. Lieutenant Daniel Kirchhoff, the ship's primary communications specialist, looked up from his console. "The quantum signal is unlike anything we've ever encountered. Dr. Reyes' initial analysis suggests it's a complex mathematical language, not just a signal, but a potential communication protocol." Zara's augmented eye, a sophisticated biomechanical implant that could process visual information at quantum speeds, scanned the holographic displays. Intricate patterns of light danced across the bridge, representing the mysterious quantum signatures that had captured the research team's attention. "How reliable are these findings?" she asked, her tone a mixture of scientific skepticism and genuine curiosity. Helena Rodriguez, who had accompanied the research data, stepped forward. "Captain, these patterns aren't random interference. They're structured. Each mathematical sequence suggests an intentional communication method that transcends traditional electromagnetic communication." The Horizon's Edge was more than just a starship. It was a mobile research platform, equipped with the most advanced quantum computational systems humanity had developed. Its mission: to explore the boundaries of known scientific understanding. Suddenly, the ship's quantum resonance chamber began to pulse. Soft blue light, identical to the light Dr. Reyes had observed, began to emanate from the ship's core systems. "Daniel, isolate and analyze," Captain Novak commanded. The lieutenant's fingers danced across his console, quantum algorithms spinning complex webs of analysis. "The signal, it's responding. Not just reflecting our scans, but actively engaging with our computational systems." A holographic representation materialized, a three-dimensional mathematical construct that seemed to breathe and shift, its geometric patterns more complex than any known encryption method. "It's attempting communication," Helena whispered, her scientific excitement barely contained. Captain Novak understood the magnitude of the moment. This wasn't just about discovering a new form of communication. This was about potentially establishing first contact with an intelligence that communicated through the fundamental language of the universe itself. "Initiate quantum harmonic translation protocol," she ordered. "I want every possible computational resource dedicated to decoding this signal." The ship's systems hummed with increased intensity. Quantum processors worked at speeds that would have been impossible just a decade earlier, parsing through complex mathematical sequences that seemed to tell a story, a narrative written in the language of probability and quantum mechanics. Daniel's eyes widened. "Captain, the signal, it's not just data. It's suggesting a method of communication, almost like it's teaching us how to understand it." The bridge fell into a profound silence. Humanity stood on the precipice of something extraordinary, a potential communication method that transcended traditional linguistic barriers, that could connect intelligences across unimaginable distances. Captain Zora Novak allowed herself a small smile. This was why she had dedicated her life to space exploration, to moments that redefined the boundaries of human understanding. "Continue analysis," she said softly. "We're about to learn something remarkable." As the Horizon's Edge continued its cosmic journey, the quantum signal continued its mysterious dance, a conversation waiting to be understood. The quantum research facility on Europa's crystalline research base buzzed with an electric tension. Dr. Marcus Tequita stood before a massive holographic display, his fingers tracing the intricate mathematical patterns that had become his entire world for the past 3 weeks. "It's a language," he muttered, speaking more to himself than to the team of researchers surrounding him. But not a language of words, a language of probability, of quantum potential. Dr. Aria Rodriguez, not to be confused with Helena from the previous research team, leaned in closer. Her specialized quantum linguistics implant hummed softly, processing the complex data streams that cascaded across the holographic interface. "The signal suggests a form of communication that exists beyond linear understanding," she explained to the assembled research team. "Each mathematical sequence is like a conversation, but not in any traditional sense. It's more like a negotiation of potential realities." The research base itself was a marvel of human engineering. Nestled beneath Europa's icy surface, it was a testament to humanity's relentless drive to understand the universe. Massive quantum resonance chambers lined the facility's core, each one capable of processing computational sequences that would have been impossible just a decade earlier. Marcus pulled up a series of complex diagrams. "Look at these harmonic resonances. They're not random. Each sequence suggests an intentional communication method that operates outside our traditional understanding of language." A priority communication alert flashed across the main display. Captain Zara Novak's image materialized, her cybernetic eye scanning the research data in real time. "Dr. Takeda," she said, her voice cutting through the facility's ambient hum, "we've detected something extraordinary. The quantum signal is evolving. It's not just a static communication, it's learning, adapting." Marcus leaned forward, his excitement barely contained. "Learning? You mean the signal is responsive?" "More than responsive," Zara replied. "It's interactive. Each time we attempt to decode it, the signal adjusts its mathematical structure. It's like it's teaching us how to communicate." The implications were staggering. This wasn't just a discovery about alien communication. This was a fundamental reimagining of how intelligence could exist and interact across the vast distances of space. Dr. Rodriguez's quantum linguistics implant began to pulse with increased intensity. "The signal," she said, her voice taking on a strange, almost mechanical quality. "It's not just a message, it's a protocol. A method of understanding that transcends traditional communication barriers." Marcus watched in fascination as the holographic display began to shift. Mathematical sequences danced and merged, forming complex geometric patterns that seemed to breathe with an almost living intelligence. "We're on the verge of something extraordinary," he whispered. The quantum resonance chambers around them began to hum, a soft, almost musical sound that seemed to vibrate with the same mathematical precision as the mysterious signal. Humanity stood at the threshold of a new understanding, not just of communication, but of the fundamental nature of intelligence itself. And they were ready to listen. Deep within the quantum research facility, an unexpected perspective was unfolding. Krelix, a xenological researcher from the Quantum Collective, studied the human communication patterns with a mixture of fascination and professional curiosity. The observation chamber was a marvel of interdimensional engineering. Crystalline walls shifted and morphed, creating a living environment that adapted to the observer's perceptual needs. Krelix's multiple sensory tendrils, sophisticated biomechanical appendages that could process information across multiple dimensional spectrums, traced the human communication patterns. "Fascinating," Krelix vocalized, the sound translating through advanced linguistic matrices. "Humans communicate not just through language, but through intention, through the very quantum fabric of their potential." The human research teams were unlike any species the Quantum Collective had encountered. Where most advanced civilizations relied on precise, mathematical communication, humans thrived on chaos, on unpredictability, on the beautiful complexity of misunderstanding and reinterpretation. Dr. Marcus Takeda's latest communication sequence appeared on the dimensional display. To Krelix, it was more than just a message. It was a living, breathing entity of potential and possibility. "They don't just communicate," Krelix noted to the quantum archival system. "They reimagine communication itself." The facility's quantum resonance chambers began to pulse. Something was happening. A convergence of human intention and quantum potential that defied traditional understanding. Captain Zara Novak's transmission cut through the dimensional barriers. "We're detecting a quantum harmonic that suggests an active communication protocol. The signal is responsive, adaptive." Krelix's sensory tendrils vibrated with excitement. The humans were doing something unprecedented. They were learning to communicate in a language that existed between potential realities. A sudden quantum burst erupted from the communication array. Mathematical sequences danced, complex, beautiful, utterly incomprehensible by traditional communication standards. "Incredible," Krelix whispered. The quantum signal was more than a message. It was a bridge between different forms of intelligence, a method of understanding that transcended traditional barriers of language, species, and dimensional existence. Humanity had discovered something extraordinary, and the universe was about to listen. The final convergence came with a complexity that defied human comprehension. The Quantum Horizon Research Platform, a massive orbital installation suspended between dimensional boundaries, trembled with an energy that seemed to breathe with living intelligence. Dr. Marcus Takeda stood at the primary observation deck, his hands hovering over holographic interfaces that pulsed with mathematical sequences more intricate than any language humanity had ever encountered. Captain Zara Novak remained close, her cybernetic eye processing information at speeds that would have been impossible just a decade earlier. "We're approaching critical quantum resonance," Marcus announced, his voice a mixture of scientific excitement and profound uncertainty. The platform's quantum resonance chambers began to hum, a sound that was less a sound and more a vibration that existed between physical reality and pure potential. Massive crystalline structures lined the chamber walls, each one capable of processing computational sequences that pushed the boundaries of human understanding. Relic, the xenological researcher from the Quantum Collective, had integrated their consciousness directly into the research platform's core systems. The boundaries between observer and observed had become increasingly fluid, a breakthrough that represented more than just scientific discovery. It was a fundamental reimagining of communication itself. "The signal is evolving," Dr. Aria Rodriguez called out, her quantum linguistics implant working overtime to process the incoming data. "It's not just communicating. It's teaching us how to understand." The holographic displays erupted with a cascade of mathematical patterns. Each sequence seemed to breathe, to move with an intelligence that transcended traditional understanding. What had begun as abstract quantum signatures was transforming into something more: a message, a connection, a bridge between different forms of intelligence. Captain Novak's augmented systems detected subtle shifts in the quantum fabric surrounding the research platform. "We're experiencing dimensional fluctuations," she reported, her voice steady despite the extraordinary circumstances. "The communication protocol is expanding beyond our current understanding of physics." Marcus moved closer to the primary quantum interface. Years of research, countless sleepless nights, and an unwavering belief in humanity's potential for discovery had led to this moment. The mathematical sequences dancing across the displays were more than just data. They were a conversation waiting to be understood. "Look," he said softly, "it's offering a pathway." The quantum resonance chambers pulsed with an intensity that seemed to bend the very fabric of space-time. Mathematical sequences transformed. Complex, beautiful, utterly incomprehensible by traditional scientific standards. It was as if the universe itself was trying to communicate, using a language that existed between thought and potential, between information and pure consciousness. Dr. Rodriguez's quantum linguistics implant began to translate fragments of meaning. The signal carried concepts that defied linear understanding, ideas that existed simultaneously in multiple potential states. Communication that was less about transmitting information and more about sharing pure existential potential. "We are not alone," the signal seemed to say. "We have always been communicating. You are just now learning to listen." Relic's multi-dimensional sensory tendrils vibrated with excitement. The humans were doing something unprecedented, breaking through communication barriers that had separated intelligent species for millennia. Their method was chaotic, unpredictable, beautiful in its complexity. "Fascinating," Relic's vocalize, the sound translating through advanced linguistic matrices. "Humans communicate not just through language, but through intention, through the very quantum fabric of their potential." The research platform began to vibrate. Dimensional barriers rippled like liquid mercury, creating fractal patterns that danced between perceived reality and quantum possibility. The quantum resonance chambers reached a critical point, a moment of convergence that would redefine humanity's understanding of communication, of intelligence, of existence itself. Captain Novak's cybernetic systems worked at quantum speeds, processing information that would have overwhelmed traditional computational methods. "We're experiencing a quantum harmonic convergence," she reported. "The communication protocol is adaptive, responsive. It's learning as we learn." Marcus watched in awe as the holographic displays transformed. What had begun as abstract mathematical patterns was becoming something more, a living, breathing entity of communication that existed beyond traditional linguistic barriers. "First contact," he whispered, "is happening now." The universe held its collective breath. The quantum signal expanded. Everything changed. And humanity stood at the threshold of a new understanding, not just of communication, but of the fundamental nature of intelligence itself.